What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're talking about a trade rumor, and before we get any further, I'm sure you guys are seeing the player that I'm going to be discussing in this video, and I know he just got injured, but I don't know how much that really changes things. We'll look at that in this video. That's part of the discussion in this video. So if you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe, join the squad. And of course, we are talking about Ryan O'Reilly. So again, I know a lot of people are watching this video that aren't subscribed. I see the numbers, so make sure to subscribe. It only takes a second for a bunch of Leafs content. 2023 is going to be a huge year on this channel. I've got lots cooking up, so be ready for that. But yeah, like I said, the Leafs need to upgrade. I've said this in other videos. The Leafs need to upgrade. They need to get more talent on this team to ensure that they can finally win a playoff round. You have to address the fact that you need that certain type of forward that can push them over the edge, a guy that's got a little bit of grit, a guy that can play almost a power forward role for them in their top six or even on that third line to match up against other teams' best lines. We'll have to see what they do, but they can make multiple moves if they're, fitting the cap properly the way that they need to. I know it's going to be tricky, but we'll look at that as well in this video. But they need multiple pieces to really push this team over. And I know people are probably thinking, well, why are you talking about just one round? Let's go step at a time. I would love for them to win the Stanley Cup. Of course, who wouldn't? But we need to get past that first round. And I think Ryan O'Reilly would still be a really good piece to help them get over that hump. And, the St. Louis Blues, two of their best assets, are going to be down for quite some time. A release coming out this morning ahead of, I believe the Leafs even play the Blues on Tuesday. But ahead of that game, Ryan O'Reilly, broken foot, and Vladimir Tarasenko, an injured hand, will miss some time, have been placed on injured reserve. Now, they're saying that Ryan O'Reilly was going to be reevaluated in 6 weeks, which obviously would take him out for a couple months, including the recovery time and whatever else, practice time, getting back into the swing of things. So he still could be traded at the trade deadline. It still could happen. He's probably going to be coming back before then, and knock on wood, hopefully he does. And hopefully for the Blues, if they want to get something for Tarasenko and Ryan O'Reilly, if they want to trade these guys, that they will have them back by then. But they won't get the same type of package that they were expecting before, because while Ryan O'Reilly is a fantastic hockey player, I mean, he's not having the best season of his career. He's not blowing anything out of the water here in terms of he's going to be worth a ton of assets. Now, his previous track record shows that, he can perform in the playoffs. I mean, 12 points in 12 games, 3-4, 11-9. Look at that, 23 in 26 games with St. Louis in the 18-19 season. Of course, we got the Cup champs in the building, but this is the type of things he can do in the playoffs. He can produce numbers for you, but the Blues are awful this season. That's why that team stat, -28, I don't really put that on one player, but that's why, he's not putting up like these incredible numbers. He's not really showing you what he's completely capable of, because this Blues team isn't that great. But 16 points in 37 games played, and now he's going to be out for quite some time. That's going to really take away a bunch of his value. Other teams are going to be like, well, when he comes back, if that injured foot isn't 100%, and maybe he doesn't get going for like another month after that, that asset isn't as good as what it would be if he was continuing to play, because he's played in every game so far this season, and that was good. But now he's out. He's going to be injured. And even with his track record and everything else, he's the captain of the St. Louis Blues, a great player, a guy that every team should be going after. His cap hit's pretty high, and now he's injured. That $7.5 million almost has to be taken in half by 50% probably for teams to be able to afford him, especially these contending teams that are spending right to the cap, essentially, like the Maple Leafs. And again, we will be looking at that in a second. But what I do want to address before I go any further is that recently in The Athletic, Pierre LeBrun stated that the Maple Leafs have discussed internally the possibility about looking to acquire St. Louis Blues captain Ryan O'Reilly. Of course, Cup champ, playoff MVP is probably going to be available. So the Leafs have at least internally discussed it, and I think any team in the league would be internally discussing a guy like Ryan O'Reilly. But again, I keep going back to this. $7.5 million, and the Leafs are going to have to find a way to fit that under their cap. But looking at his numbers again, this guy has proven himself in the regular season and in the playoffs. I think it'd be silly for the Leafs not to go after him. Now, the other thing is that he is a center. So I'm not saying, and again, I'm going to look at you guys when I say this. I'm not going to show the screen. I'm not saying that the Leafs trade, whatever happens here, this isn't exactly what's going to happen. I'm just going to make up a mock trade and just put it through so that way we can see what the Leafs would kind of look like if they were going to go after a guy like Ryan O'Reilly. And again, depending on if there's a bidding war or anything else like that, the Leafs are going to have to get a little bit creative with the money. So if we're trading with the St. Louis Blues here, so if we're going to acquire a player, of course we're going to go for Ryan O'Reilly here. So we got O'Reilly. Now draft picks. Okay, so the Leafs are definitely going to have to throw in that first round pick. That's automatically going to be in there. Now, I'm also wondering if the second in 2024 will be part of this trade. And the reason why I'm saying that, and people are going to think, oh, here we go again. But I also believe that Alex Kerfoot will be involved in this trade. I think people will start to see that Kerfoot's value is starting to come around a little bit more. He's been playing really, really well lately. And his contract is up after the season. So I don't think that the Leafs are really worried or any team would be really worried about taking him on because they could just lose him in the offseason. But again, I think a team like the Blues would actually want to hold on to a Kerfoot and try to keep him for that wing and center depth. Now, another guy that hopefully will be back and by the deadline that will probably get traded is Nick Robertson. This has been something that's been discussed for a long time. So you have a first, a second, Nick Robertson, and Alex Kerfoot. Now, this is where it gets tricky because I still think that they're going to have to retain some of his salary here. So just for the sake of time, will it be there? Oh, okay, so I don't know. Should we retain half? I don't know. I think I don't know. This is where it gets difficult because I don't know if I want to put retained salary in this video because then all that does is make the package have to be higher, or does it? I don't know. Do the Leafs have enough in this trade to be like, okay, this is all it is. So first, a second, Kerfoot and Robertson. I'm not too sure, but just for the sake of the video, we'll just retain half. Again, I'm gonna pull this up here, but we'll see if we can retain half here. And if Blues fans or hockey fans are getting mad here, I apologize. But so we'll retain half here, and we'll submit the trade now. So $3.7 million retained for Ryan O'Reilly, for Kerfoot, Robertson, a first and a second. Now, again, I'm telling you, this trade package is not what I'm thinking is going to happen. This is just to base it around something. You can add another prospect player, whatever, but that's just to base it like that. So now, and again, I'll have to see if the Blues can even afford to do that, but just for the sake of this video, now your center depth would be Matthews, Tavares, Ryan O'Reilly. Now you could also move Tavares to the wing if you really feel like that's going to be something that makes sense. You could put Ryan O'Reilly up there. I don't know. You can move a lot of pieces around and see if it works. But for the sake of this video, we're going to move around this roster and try to see if we can figure something out that makes sense for the Maple Leafs. Now, this is where you would have to be creative. Do you put Pontus Holmberg on the wing? I think you probably do. O'Reilly with Engvall and Aston Reese, does that even work? Do you try to acquire another player? I don't know, but it's going to definitely be very interesting to see how they pull this all together. When Rasmus Sandin comes back, how do you figure that out? You're probably having Jordy Ben as a scratch. But now, yeah, the cap space, everything like that is just very, very tricky. But again, let's just see. So Dryden Hunt more than likely goes down. Joey Anderson more than likely is going down. So then your lines would be Bunting, Matthews, Nylander, Yarncrook, Tavares, Marner, Aston Reese, Ryan O'Reilly, Pierre Engvall, which again, I don't really like that third line, but you could also put Holmberg on that third line, which I'd probably do, and then have Kampf on that fourth line with Aston Reese and probably Simmons, or like who else here would you rather have? Like, this is where it gets interesting. Do you call up Joey Anderson? I don't know. This is tough because I'm not too sure that they would want Simmons in the lineup in the playoffs, but nobody on here. Maybe it is Dryden Hunt. I don't know. So it's either Dryden Hunt or Wayne Simmons that's going to be in this lineup. You would have to decide. Maybe they go with Simmons for experience, but Morgan Reilly, I don't know. Is he still playing with Timothy Liljegren? Do they do that? Do they go? I don't know. Do they go Giordano with Timmins? Do they go Giordano and Sandin? I don't know. This doesn't have to be how it is. Brody, Hall. This is just me spitballing. Don't worry about the blue line and obviously the goaltending. But this is where this is how the Leafs would kind of look like. That's a lot of assets to rent Ryan O'Reilly as well, so that's where it gets interesting. Do you want the Leafs to spend that much on a guy that maybe isn't even going to be 100% Ryan O'Reilly, and those type of assets are gone forever? You lose Robertson, you lose the first, you lose the second. Kerfoot, again, is just, to make money work, but what do you guys think about that? I don't know. I think it could be really interesting. This is just me spitballing a little bit, talking about some of the news. And when that injury report came out, I was kind of like, damn, maybe the Blues don't get that much. And again, I was overpaying or underpaying according to whatever you guys think. Let me know down below. What do you think the trade would look like? Again, it gets interesting because of the injury, but it also gets interesting with retained salary. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. Will Ryan O'Reilly get traded, and will it be to the Maple Leafs? They need to get somebody. All right, we'll see what they can do. It's too early, but we'll see. Peace.